This is our Forex blog for June 5th, 2015. And we're releasing a new version of the software. It's been 3 weeks. Normally we release one every week or two, but there was major bugs introduced in some of the new technology we put in the software to increase the speed of loading. I load, when I'm backtesting systems, my workspace probably 20 or 30 times a day. So saving 3 to 5 minutes on every load allows me to backtest more features. I'm also very happy to report that I fixed some of the pattern-based trades that I put in there before. In the past, my rules were so strict that many days there was no trade, so I tried to loosen some of my rules, and unfortunately, even though they backtested extremely well, they didn't work in the future like some of my other patterns. So I added a ton of rules to the worst offenders, and now a lot of those losses that popped up from that pattern-based trades are not there anymore. I'm just going to go through some of the charts. Here's the euro dollar, and this is Thursday. And some of the trades don't show up a day late because the statistical errors are different, but you can see probably 15 pip trade here. And most of our systems are trend related, or they're based on Fibonacci areas, support resistance zones, Fibonacci profit target zones, as this one clearly is. And so we had a small win here and a small loss. Obviously, when news comes out and market does insane stuff, I try to stay out of the way. The dollar CAD for the last 2 days, there was no trades on Thursday, and on Friday it killed it. It got in here at 62 and made about 60 pips. It got in here at 18, got out at 56 for another 30 pips, and got short at 56 and rode this thing all the way down to the bottom. It just cleaned up in the dollar CAD on Friday. You can see 85 pips, 57 pips, and there's another dollar CAD trade that made 38 pips. Now these stats, and I'll show them in a second, or at the end of the day after I add new patterns and fix some of the bad patterns. So here's the pound. I think it did pretty well on Friday. There's a lot of trades in the pound. Obviously, clear trend. It makes a new low for the day, and especially when it comes up somewhere between 38 and 62% retracement is where I like to look for trades. You can see a similar trade here that was also a profitable one from this high to low, came up to the 62% retracement, and not every trade is going to be a winner. This one, we made a new low here, so the trend's clearly down. We go short, we have a small loss. Huge explosive move down, and again right to the 50-62% fib level. That one's good for about 20 pips, and then another trend trade here, good for another 30 or 40 pips. And when I said 20 pips, actually that's wrong. 38 pips is how much approximately that one made. Swiss yen had a few really interesting trades, and these are patterns that were in the software before. I didn't add any new ones in the Swiss yen on Thursday or Friday. You can see a small loss right there. Extreme trend, we buy the pullback. And anytime a market makes a multi-wave pullback and big moves like this, typically the fib targets are where I look to sell it at. That's right at the 1.27 fib target. That only made about 8 pips on the counter trend trade, but it also allowed us to get out of the trend trade here at 79 versus probably the trailing stop would have been somewhere down here. So it made 10 extra pips on the long, and then made a few pips on the short too. So one of the reasons that I actually work hard to put counter trend trades into the software is that they work a high percentage of the time. There's a ton of rules in my counter trend trades, and most of them are based on wave counts. I don't get into the trend until the market's gone statistically way too much and has gone many waves, and usually only if the longer term trend is down. For instance, on a weekly chart, it might be underneath the weekly pivot level, or it might be under the 20, 50, and 200-day moving average on the daily chart. So the longer term trends are down, and we look to sell extreme up moves when the longer term trend is down. This trade, even though it looks like a counter trend, is really in the direction of the longer term trend. So we're very careful not to take unnecessary risk in our systems. Here's the Australian dollar, which I think had a few good trades on Thursday. It did really well. Nice little double top right here. That's one of the 26 different trade types I look for. Huge, 40, 50 pip move on Thursday. Another 20 pip move, and then on Friday, obviously, I usually get into these at the end of the range bars. Anytime the market gaps 30 or 40 pips, I never get into the trade. It's usually a failure. But nice little double bottom here, and then the trend was down, so we look to resume that trend, get out of this counter trend trade right here at the perfect time, and then ride it down. And I'm going to just showcase the stats. I have fixed, like I said, a lot of those pattern trades that historically don't work that well. I put a little asterisk after the name so I can take screenshots of them, and when I see what the winners have in common that the losers don't, I tend to add more very specific rules based on what the evidence shows. So there's a lot of thinking involved in fixing patterns, and usually it takes a few weeks for enough trades to hit and either win or fail for me to know exactly how to fix them. So anyway, this is Friday. 483 pips, 72% winning, 29 pips average win, 6 pips average loss. This is an exceptional day. And keep in mind that I probably fixed 5 or 10 patterns that were losers, so that would have made probably 80 or 90 pips less. And I also added 5 or 10 new patterns. They're not 10, but probably 4 to 6 new patterns. Thursday, it only made 177 pips, pretty decent win percentage, very low win rate. Most of our trades over the last 6 months, I've been backtesting them, generate 16 to 22 pips usually, most on average. Oh, actually, I have this sorted wrong. That's not right. Let's sort by the number of pips. There we go. That's more accurate. 24 pip average win, 0.92 pip loss. Let me change the sort order back to large to small. So 159 pips here, 64% winning, and 20 pips average win. I'm not sure what day this is. 154 pips, and this was earlier in the week. Some of these patterns I fixed during this week, but I don't remove them off of past days. If I fix pattern 41, it just is not likely to show up as often in the future, and it does. It's much more likely to win than lose. But I don't go and remove that loss from the past usually, unless I fix it during that day. If I fix this pattern on future days, I know I don't go back and waste time removing it from previous stats. Earlier in the week there was quite a few days with very low trades. You can see here this one, this day only had 14 trades. This is more of a normal day, 17 trades. My goal is to have days like Friday where there's 25 to 40 trades. So if you have a string of 2 or 3 losers, which does happen, you can get your losses back with one nice win. I mean, especially wins like this. 49 pip win, even a 27 pip win can get rid of, a bunch of these 3, 6, 2.9 minus 0.1 pips. A lot of the losses are very tiny. I like to try to keep the losses under 8 pips while trying to get the wins to be 15 to 20 or more. So that's the goal. Obviously the market does what it wants to do, and there's a lot of variability and randomness in it, but our patterns are based on all of our statistical tools, trend tools, and I'm using more and more of our trend reversal indicators on all time frames, not just the range chart itself, but on 15-minute, 30, hourly, 4-hour, and I'm also incorporating a lot more daily patterns into my new patterns. So a daily pattern has to happen first, then intraday pattern has to happen second, and they don't happen frequently, but when they do, they tend to be these 40 to 50 pip wins. This is a wonderful study that tends to work in its own right, especially when you're trading with the trend. If I was going to look for putting a pattern in that finds this trade here, which it didn't catch, I would have the fibs looking at this move, and it's a 76 pip move, and it looks like it came right to the 70 78% fib level, and there's a trend reversal signal within the last 15 bars. That's a very high probability pattern. And one of the things I'm also working on in the future, and I've done very little of this in the past, there's only 2 patterns out of 2021 that are in this system that use Fibonacci time extensions. But typically, when the market goes at least 38 to 60, 618% of the bars down, or time extensions as well, it tends to then resume that trend. So that's just one of those things that I have seen. You can see it in this future, or I should say past instance right here. Whoops. I'll just delete this and put it on again. Notice the number of bars from here to here. Here's a 38% extension. Typically from this point onward is when it becomes safer to look for counter trend trades. And this market just gapped here, but you can see within 3 bars it resumed its trend. You will see that frequently if you use our software and use our Fibonacci time extension tool. You have a move. Typically, at the very minimum, this is the earliest that you could look to get into a trade. This one pulls back and is holding here. You could buy in any of these bars with your stop a little lower. And you can see this one pretty much reversed right at the 618 fib bar extension. So they're much more likely to work. And you can see it went right to the Fibonacci profit target, which happens all the time. So again, we released a new version this week. A lot of bugs. One of them was in the software for 10 years we found and fixed. And probably 6 to 8 bugs we fixed, mostly based on new tools that we just put in the software. You'll find the charts load much faster, especially if you've loaded it before and you close the software and bring it back up. It's going to get most of the data from the disk, and so it's going to load substantially faster. And this is going to, and it has allowed me to backtest ideas 30 to 40% faster, which is going to improve not only past patterns but also future patterns I put in are much more likely to work in the future.